From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, we begin with breaking news this evening. Right now, authorities are on the scene of a fatal crash at Virginia Lane and Rimrock Road. That's where Q2's Russ Riesinger is standing by live at the scene. Russ, what can you tell us?
Well, Jeanelle, Rimrock Road expected to be closed between Normal Avenue and Virginia Lane for several hours while police investigate what is a fatal crash. We do know that a 16-year-old girl is dead and a 14-year-old girl has been injured. This all happening around 3:45 this afternoon. We're joined now by Sergeant Brett Becker of the Billings Police Department. Sergeant, what do we know right now about what happened?
Well, we're trying to find some for sure answers. We have our advanced crash team out here right now. It looks like the teenager was in the smaller passenger car attempting to turn right here onto Rimrock Road from Virginia. A large Dodge pickup was traveling eastbound and obviously didn't see or wasn't aware of the vehicle, and basically got T-boned, and then the crash took place.
And you said a girl in the sedan was killed and another girl in the sedan injured.
Correct.
How about the people who were in the pickup truck? Do we know how they were doing?
Didn't seem like there were any injuries. The driver did go up to the hospital to consent to a blood draw and some things like that. But as far as any injuries, I don't believe there were any, as far as I'm aware.
I know fatal accidents are always tough, but when it involves a teenager, it has to really be difficult.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. From what we're thinking, she probably was just coming up from school, just gotten out and was heading home. So.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Becker, for your time. Again, Rimrock Road expected to be closed for several hours between Virginia Lane and Normal Avenue while police investigate this fatal crash. In Billings, I'm Russ Riesinger reporting for MTN News. Jeanelle, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Russ. And as we learn more, we'll bring you the very latest at KTVQ.com and, of course, right back here tonight at 10 o'clock. Well, in other news tonight, an update on the Montana COVID-19 vaccine front. Montana has reached an agreement to redirect nearly 20,000 unused COVID-19 vaccines across the state. Governor Greg Gianforte says the vaccines were originally allocated to CVS and Walgreens for use in long-term care facilities. However, about 19,500 of those doses will not be needed. Montana asked the federal government if it could reallocate the vaccines, and it got approval. Well, the state will order the vaccines this week and direct them to hospitals across the state. Now, the plan is to set up community vaccine clinics in the coming weeks.
Every dose Montana receives is critical, which is why I promised you in my first week in office that we wouldn't let vaccines sit on the shelves. Today, we're following through on that promise.
Now, those redirected doses are all Pfizer vaccine, which requires ultra cold storage. The state says they'll be used as first and second doses for about 10,000 people. Well, here in Billings, spiritual leaders gathered today to honor lives lost within the walls of St. Vincent Healthcare. People gathered in the hospital chapel for a Festival of Lights prayer service for victims of COVID-19. Bishop Michael Warfel of the Diocese of Great Falls, Billings provided the prayer of invocation and blessed 3 candles that were lit during the service. One representing 177 people from near and far who passed away at St. Vincent, one representing those who've died across the state, and the last candle for Native Americans who've passed away from the disease. After the service, St. Vincent staff placed 177 white flags on the lawn in front of the hospital.
To our Native American brothers and sisters, and we honored them in particular today because of that great loss. And so I hope that people see these flags as a representation of a life, that it wasn't just COVID or coronavirus or something, but it was a life that was meant, all the love that has passed between that person and all their loved ones.
And tonight at 10 o'clock, Q2's Mitch Legge will bring us more from today's service. Well, day 2 of the University of Montana Economic Outlook Forum put a focus on Billings. The forum is an annual outlook on the economy of Montana, individual cities, and industries. economic researcher Patrick Barkey says in the first half of 2020, Yellowstone County lost a lot of jobs. The second half saw a rebound, but not enough to offset the bad start to the year.
Which was historic, all right? But it is going to, I believe, turn into something which is almost equally historic coming out, as we expect to see some version of normality kicking in sometime around summer. We expect to see many of these jobs which have been lost because of social distancing and other economic consequences of the pandemic reverse themselves and see some makeup growth this year.
Now, Barkey says the wage and salary declines were not nearly as harsh, with Yellowstone County seeing only a 1% drop in wages and salaries last year. Now, Steve Arviskow of the Big Sky Economic Development also joined the seminar, giving insight to the lessons learned.
One of the most important things we can do for our small business community, a lesson that we learned very important in Yellowstone County, was we need to get out of our car, put on a mask, and walk in the front door of a small business, a locally owned business in our community, and shop and spend money and engage with them. And going forward economically, that engagement we have with our small business sector will be vitally important.
And another lesson, to recognize the value of Billings being a regional hub for healthcare. That's what Arviskow says. Now, job postings for RNs have increased 75% over 2019, with 256 RN jobs posted locally today. He says the healthcare workforce is strained. Montana ranks number 7 in the nation for having the oldest physician workforce. 35% of our local doctors are over 60 years old. Well, it is a job that would come with plenty of challenges, even if it weren't in a pandemic. In tonight's Rebound Report, Q2's Russ Riesinger catches up with the new chancellor of Montana State University Billings to see how things are going so far and what she's looking forward to in the future.
Starting a new job in the middle of a pandemic has been really interesting.
It's really nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. So I'm just getting to know everybody.
All the girls are flocking to them, wondering where you can get those sweatshirts. I know. I know.
Meeting new people with masks on and recognizing people and knowing who they are. And even something as simple as not shaking hands to follow those COVID protocols has been really hard for me.
The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way things are done in just about every field. MSUB's new chancellor says it's been a wake-up call for the way education is delivered.
We've had a crash course in doing classes differently, being more flexible to meet students' needs, and I think it will change education forever. What that looks like, we don't know yet, but it makes us step back and look at how we can do things differently in a way that meets students' needs, and that's really important to me.
Dr. Stephanie Hickswa is one of the newest Yellow Jackets on campus. She's only been on the job a few weeks, the first woman chancellor in the school's 94-year history.
That work ethic that I have and that perseverance and to want to do the best I can regardless of the job. I grew up on a ranch in Dillon, and that has just been instilled in me from a young age. You know, running a ranch is a lot like running a university. The only thing that's really different is when you run a ranch, you harvest in the fall. When you run a university, harvest is in the spring. That's graduation.
Raising the completion rate for MSUB's approximate 4,000 students will be one of her priorities, she says. It's something she had success with in her previous job as president of Northwest College in Powell.
Finishing a degree sets them on a path to success forever. And so I think it's important for all of us at MSUB to focus on helping students complete.
Despite some of the uncertainties for the moment that have been brought on by the pandemic, Hickswa sees a bright vision ahead for MSUB in the next 5 years.
There is so much potential for MSUB. I think that being more integrated in the community in the next 5 years is one of my personal goals, to look at what the needs are of the community, especially in the healthcare arena. We can really tap into that because Billings is a medical corridor for the entire region.
Construction and renovation on MSUB's Yellowstone Science and Allied Health building will be completed this year. It will feature state-of-the-art laboratories and equipment connected with classrooms in the science and health fields.
I think that we can really look at what our strengths are in the healthcare area, in business, in education. Our special education program is one of the best in the region. We can capitalize on those strengths and find some of those niches and really, really work hard to make those a bigger part of what we do. Rather than being everything to everyone, we can focus on what we do well and just take it to the next level.
In Billings, I'm Russ Riesinger reporting for MTN News.
All right, thanks so much, Russ. Well, up next on tonight's MTN 530 News on Q2, how you can help in the fight against student hunger. A quick donation and then donning your favorite jersey to fill up our future.
The warmest February 2nd on record was 1962, 61 degrees, and we did it 1 degree better today, 62 officially at the airport just before winter arrives. Details on that coming up.